Okay, so I'm going to transition in and talk about our Big Rock topic here. I've got a couple slides about summer events. We kind of covered this a little bit when we discussed the Summertime Hack Award. Summer camp is usually the anchor activity. It's kind of what everything else orbits around. You kind of decide at this point where we're going to camp, when we're going to camp, who's going to camp. And when you start thinking about, okay, what do I want to do to fill in these gaps and create this bridge, camp is obviously that elephant in the room that you have to work around, right? But I want to encourage everybody, just like I just said with the National Summertime Award, take advantage of that summer weather. Take advantage of the long days. I mean, here we are in January, and thank goodness it's not freezing anymore. The days are short, the weather is wet, and it's cold, and who wants to go out for a hike to a lighthouse, right? Not the right time of year. Do those things that don't sound like fun in January. If you need some ideas, or one of the things to think about is when you're scheduling out your summertime events, think about that outdoor activity award, which I love. It's a good one. It's a big patch. The Cub Scouts love to wear it. There's a YouTube video here where I describe what that is, what it's all about. There's more stuff buried in there. Think about how you can integrate those events in and do outdoor things so you can earn that, as well as the National Summertime Award. And again, a little bit shorter list of activities here. Again, things don't have to be expensive or huge or all day long or even overnight. You can do something small and fun. I wanted to point you guys to a presentation that I had a lot of fun. I think you sat through this, didn't you, putting the Outing and Scouting? Mm-hmm. I did a recording of University of Scouting this year. Putting the Outing and Scouting is all about just different ideas of things to do with your den and your pack. Everything from a simple hike, I have a sort of a syllabus for how to cover a bunch of different advancement items in a hike, to going camping and everything in between, including overnighters. Go take a look if you want. I think it turned out pretty good. The audio is kind of iffy, but den leaders, you do not need to stop holding den meetings just because it's June, July, and August. A lot of us do because we lose our school that we're chartered out of, or whatever, or maybe it's tradition in the pack. Think about having an activity, maybe a den meeting in a park. Think about having something at your house. Thinking about taking your scouts bowling, doing something out of the ordinary, getting those scouts out of the meeting place and into some place that they wouldn't normally be. If you haven't tried doing it, consider it. You don't have to do it every week or every other week on a regular basis, but maybe just do it occasionally. The first year that we had our Tigers, they just earned their Tiger, and we were going to Cup World, and it was the Star Wars theme. Our den leader decided they didn't want to screen Star Wars for our scouts, so they knew what was going on. And that lasted for it started with Phantom Menace for some reason. I know, right? And that's about where it ended, because, scheduling all 8 scouts to come and watch Star Wars sounds great, but it was a good idea. So instead we went on a hike, we went to summer camp, to other things. You can meet in a local park, 6, 7 in the evening, wait till dinner's over, maybe even before dinner. You as a den leader have a lot of your prerogative, I think. I give my den leaders a lot of leeway to choose if they want to do that. There is a balance here, of course. Families go on vacation, they're going to be gone. I've had some scouts leave for 2 months and come back just in time for summer camp. I got a story about that, actually. And also, summer camp isn't cheap, so really try to find those activities that are cost effective. Again, hiking, bicycling, things like that. Create that bridge. All right. That's my summer activity spiel. Now summer camp. I have a visualization exercise. I know, it's getting late. We had a long opening. Visualization exercise for you guys. I want you to take a moment and visualize something. Close your eyes with me. Picture it's the 1st of August, 1907. You have 21 boys of mixed social backgrounds gathered at this little place called Brownsea Island. It's about 100 miles west-southwest of London. And you have these boys take part in all these different activities: camping, nature observation, woodcraft, chivalry, life-saving, teamwork. Can you picture that? Can you picture the excitement that these boys have getting off the boat onto this island and seeing the camp set up for them, seeing dinner being cooked? This is how Scouting started as a worldwide movement. After coming home to an unexpectedly successful book publishing called Aids to Scouting, General Robert Baden-Powell had a vision, hopefully like you're having right now, and He had this vision, and he created a summer camp experience, albeit it was experimental at the time. Nobody had done this before, and there was no history of this at all. And following the success of this experience, these 21 boys, these boys went home, they were excited, they were enthusiastic. General Baden-Powell went and wrote another book that ended up being titled Scouting for Boys, published in 1908, that ended up essentially being that first Boy Scout handbook. What I wanted you to visualize that for is that element of excitement, that element of learning and something new, and that's what we're really trying to imbue to our scouts when we take them to summer camp. To renew the enthusiasm they had when they decided they wanted to be a Cub Scout. Because really, the adventure does begin at summer camp. It's really that anchor activity. Like I was just trying to say, it's a tradition as old as scouting. Scouting started with summer camp. And for our Cub Scouts, it's often truly the highlight of the year. Yeah, there are a lot of fun things we do, like Pinewood Derby, going up to Aubrey Lodge for snow day, or whatever you guys do. But summer camp is that pinnacle experience. And it's important that we try to get our scouts, all of our scouts, as much as we can, to go to summer camp. One of the things I wanted to mention, I'll come back to the middle part here, there is no requirement for our Cub Scouts to go to a Cascade Pacific Council summer camp. If you have a scout that is going to go visit Grandpa in rural Wyoming, there is no reason why that scout can't go to summer camp with Grandpa, or Michigan, or Montana, or wherever they are. It might take a little more effort to do a little research, to go to that council's webpage and figure out what camps they have, get that scout signed up and make sure they have that coordination in place. But better to have that scout go to a camp and come home excited, maybe having met new friends off wherever they were, and get reinvigorated for the scouting program than to have them not go and come back and be lackluster. Having said that, our council offers some fantastic summer camp opportunities. 3 different types I'm going to talk about are day camp, resident camp, and all-pack camp. Okay, let's jump in. Day camp is the traditional Cub Scout experience. It's what I did as a Cub Scout. You were a Cub Scout. You probably did day camp. There was no summer camp? Wow.
None.
Rob?
No, we had none.
Wow.
My school was in Utah.
Okay, interesting. I'm from Corvallis, and this is all we had when I was a Cub Scout 30 years ago. It was a 5-day experience out at Troop 3 Cabin, and for me as a Cub Scout, it was fantastic. It was amazing. We got to shoot BB guns, do archery. It's great. And again, it hasn't changed a lot since 30 years ago. It's a 5-day experience. Typically, there are a few exceptions. I'll show you that. It's usually Monday through Friday, where scouts show up in the morning and they come home mid-afternoon, just before dinner, eat dinner with the family, sleep in their own bed, go back to camp in the morning, lather, rinse, and repeat for 5 days. Some camps, there is one I know in particular that offers a twilight session, excuse me, depending on where you're at. Not in Ireland though, but Hood River actually. It's appropriate for any scout, any Cub Scout can go to day camp. If for whatever reason they can't go to Camp Clark with their den, if their den's going to Camp Clark for instance, they can go to day camp, not a problem. Especially appropriate for brand new scouts, scouts starting in the 1st grade, jumping into Tiger Cubs, and scouts who can't attend resident camp. Do take note, if you have a Lion program and you re-register a Lion Scout on June 1st who's just starting kindergarten 3 months beyond, they can't go to summer camp, they're too young. If you register a Scout that just finished kindergarten and is starting 1st grade, they can go to summer camp. Clear? Okay, good. Generally, day camps will be found throughout geographically in our council area. I think I have a list here in a second. I hope I do. Closest to us, we have Camp Ireland, of course. I think most of us are probably thinking, of course, it's Camp Ireland. It's the obvious one, but you never know. Maybe Grandpa is up in Battleground, Washington, and something like Camp Lewis would make more sense. Or maybe, they're going to spend a week with Aunt Mabel in McMinnville. Eagle Valley is not too far. They have a good camp experience. Each scout should bring to any summer camp experience a sack meal, usually sack lunch, water bottle, sunscreen, and no flip-flops or sandals, closed-toed shoes are required on the council property for safety purposes. The entire group that goes needs to bring all the medical forms for all of the scouts and the adults that come. We'll say that again, scouts and adults. I have seen adults show up for day camp and spend the first half of the day filling out their medical form because they forgot it. It's always a good idea to bring a first aid kit. I bring a backpack with me. It's right there, first thing in my backpack. And this is not, I wouldn't bring a computer with me to summer camp, but the first thing in the front is my first aid kit. I have to just plug that for you guys, Eagle Scout. Medical forms. As far as I know, we don't have any new medical forms. This is still the 2015 version. If they change it between now and June, make sure you print out new copies, get new versions for everybody, because you can't come to summer camp with an old medical form.
Good question.
Go ahead.
Do you have the ratio of adults?
Yes, that is coming up in a slide or 3.
The other thing in the
48.
medical forms too is you need, whoever's going to camp needs to spend a few minutes with the parents. Because
Okay.
all the camps last year, they separated us off and grilled
Yes.
us and every kid over everything they ever did.
Really?
And
Wow.
pretty much a HIPAA violation, but wish guys get away with it.
Which camp was that? I'm curious.
Ireland,
Okay.
Butte Creek,
No kidding.
yeah.
What? I wasn't following.
Yeah,
They
if
quizzed
you,
the Cub
when you
Scout
turned
on-
in your medical forms, they had to review the medical form with the scout.
Wow.
And some of these scouts, yeah, they'll answer yes to everything.
Right. Yes, I've had
So
tuberculosis.
you need to,
I remember
Yeah.
they did that at Butte Creek.
They did.
Yeah, the kids, you had to go up and they would sit down and kind of go through the form with the kid.
Interesting. Now I remember that. I
Because
remember
they
them
were
sitting
like
down with
couple
Scout.
rolled, I came up with a nice folder, it was all put together, I handed it over, they said, everything here, I said, yes, and they counted the people.
Yeah,
and
that's
They said, thank you very much.
Yeah.
In Butte Creek, it was like tear apart the binder, each
Yeah,
parent
each
with each
single
scout,
person.
the scouts were
Wow.
over. I
Yeah.
don't remember if they made the Cub Scouts do it, but I remember the scouts were over playing with a horse and all the parents had
Yeah.
to go through.
It was a little more involved last year, and I'm not sure, I didn't ask Jennifer Mooney about that, if that was gonna continue. I was a little disappointed in the medical procedures at Butte Creek, and it sounds like
yeah,
maybe,
so was I.
if I had to guess, I'd say there's a lawyer somewhere that said, you should do this, or we might get sued. I don't know.
Well, our problem was is when we went to Ireland, they had kids asking kids, kids that worked there asking
Staffers.
medical questions. Unfortunately, there was 3 of us there that are medical
Right.
background, that are HIPAA reporters. And we had to pull them aside and say, you guys are doing major HIPAA violations, you've
Well,
got to
and
stop.
honestly, as an adult, and my husband usually goes to camp, but I give his medical form to another adult with all this medical information on it, and I'm
Yeah,
going, I
there-
don't even feel comfortable just giving that to someone else.
You've got to.
Yeah.
I know you have to, and I do every year, but
So-
it makes me very
Put it in an envelope then.
Well, right, but then,
The important thing there is that whoever is responsible for those medical forms should be a responsible adult that hopefully everyone trusts,
Yeah.
right?
I
that's
take
your
care of
medical
that.
information.
The other
It's
half of
different
that
than
is-
trusting.
If your husband is going to camp, I believe that he could keep his medical form on his persons and hand it directly to the camp medic.
We had to bring them all in, and then at the end of camp,
Okay.
when we picked up
They just give
the
them right
medical
back
forms,
to
we
you.
got the badges at the same time.
Yeah, it all comes back in a packet. That's something that gets lost in theory.
Yeah.
There's interesting
Very
points.
violating.
It'd be interesting to see what they do this year, and I had to provide some feedback to Jennifer Mooney about that, because I was a little disappointed with, we had some issues with a kid get a really big, a scout I should say, a really big splinter, about 2x4 about that. He was sliding on one of the benches at Butte
Oh.
Creek and right in the leg, and they had like nothing better than Swiss Army knife tweezers, and no real pain deadening. It was a mess. So
Well, even for, on other things at Butte Creek too, we had
Yeah.
problems because we had kids that were required to take medications that are Schedule 3, so they have to be locked up.
yes,
They had such a narrow window
we talked about this.
that we
didn't
had to dose, like my
Yeah.
kid's an ADHD kid,
Yeah.
he had to take his medicine right after dinner.
And the
by-
medic wasn't there or something
Yeah, by
like that.
7 o'clock at night, he's out
Yeah.
cold, he missed
I know.
all the evening activities, but that's the only time.
Dear God, what happens if you were diabetic?
You have to take,
There are
they're,
some exceptions with insulin, no,
Yeah.
not, with insulin and with EpiPens. You can keep that on your.
yeah,
your
EpiPens,
Yeah, I
they
hope
let you
so.
keep them on, and then insulin,
I think it
they
might,
make, but you still have to.
you still have to like go
But
through.
it was
the
it was not ran well.
I should clarify that with Jennifer Mooney to see. if
But the
there's
reason
any
is so that it's really not the Scouts' fault. In the state of Oregon,
Yeah.
they are required that all medicines over a class 2 have to be in their possession.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a Boy
And
Scout
laws.
requirement, it's actually a state of
Yep,
Oregon.
it is, absolutely. The things to expect other than medical interesting issues at scout camp are BB guns, archery range, there's usually a building thing, all kinds of stuff. For those of you going to day camp, the theme this year is Invention Convention. If you were at University of Scouting, you saw the beginning of that. I hope there was a thing. Some people dressed up. It was fun. It's good stuff. Camp dens, and we talked about this just a minute ago. This was new last year because of the rank advancement changes, rank advancement requirement changes. And it worked really well at day camp, I heard last year, and they're going to do it again. They did not do this with resident camp, so to make a distinction there. They're going to organize them by grade or age, basically. If you have tiger, wolf, bear, they're going to go around together and do activities. If you have Weebelow's Arrow of Light, they're going to go around and do activities. So we'll have a scenario in just a second. The idea is to provide a more age-appropriate experience for every scout. Every group is going to be roughly 10 scouts, roughly. Maybe 9, maybe 11, hopefully not 15. The content and activities will be age specific. And again, to speak to Neil's requirement, how many adults do you need to bring? The requirement is the same as last year. If you have anywhere from 1 to 6, you need 2 adults. I have the double asterisk for a reason. Give me a second. 7 to 12 is 3, and 13 on up is 4. The question that came up last year was very poignant in that if I go with my son, hence I bring 1, do I need to bring somebody else with me? The answer is no. You can go with your son to camp and have one-on-one time. You cannot go with somebody else's son to camp one-on-one. That's where the 2 comes in. Just to clarify. Questions about that?
So when you have 2 scouts, one is Weeblos, one is Wolf, and what do you do now? So the situation I would have is
A scenario.
there's a scenario.
Shall we walk through a scenario? Because I think I can answer your question. Let's go the other route and say we bring a big group. We got some tigers, we got some wolves, we got a couple boys that just joined, they haven't heard bobcat, some boys that just earned bear and weeblo, all the way around, a bunch of mixes. The scouts that just earned bear and weeblos, they're going to be working on their weeblos and their arrow of light, will likely be grouped together in a den of similarly aged scouts. So we're taking these 2, we've got 4. They're probably going to put them together with 6 other scouts, either working on weeblos or arrow of light, and they're going to go around and do activities. The remainder, stepping on here, will go in a different group. At least one of the adults will need to accompany each group. Now we say we're bringing, how many adults did I say I was bringing? I don't think I did. I think I said 3. Thank you, yes, because we have a fair number here.
12.
So, wow, good math.
It's right, he wrote it. It's written out in words, not numbers, on the top.
Ah, I'm looking for numbers, thank you. So at least 1 will need to go with each group. So you could send 2 with the younger group and 1 with the older group. And again, this sort of,
That's your math.
But except there's 11, that's what
oh,
threw me off.
sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, if
I
you
just
individual
read the
numbers
word
is 11, I'm
12.
like, wait, what? Okay,
All
continue,
right.
sorry.
Never mind the math there.
It's in the 6 to 7 to 12 range.
You lost the scout.
It's not calculated.
You still have to bring 3 adults.
Yeah, well,
So the point is that when you bring a group that gets split, somebody else will also bring a group that gets split, and you will join together. So, for instance, the Bear Weebelow's group will probably join up with another 6 group with at least 1 or 2 other adults. And you'll have 2 deep leadership, everything will be fine. What else did I have here? 2, 3 boys, right. A couple of points to make. If you have, maybe this is what Neil's aiming for, if I went to camp right now with my 2 boys, one will be working on arrow of light, one will be working on bear, I'd like to spend time throughout the week with each of them. You can do that. You can spend some time with one group, maybe one day would make sense, and then the next day swap with a parent and say, you go with the younger group and a different parent goes to the older group. That's okay. So you can swap groups during the week if desired. A lot of us can't take an entire week off of work, and so we kind of swap in and out. That's a whole different layer of complications. One of the things that Jennifer wanted me to make sure I tell you is that it's always a good thing to have at least 1 common adult there all week. They know all the nuances, they know the leaders, they know the rules, they know where the restrooms are, all that stuff. So it's always a good idea. Does that make sense, Neil? Okay.
But my last question is,
Please.
I have a den
Yeah.
and a pack. They're
Yes.
all going to Clark, right? You know, basically, they're all going to week-long
Okay.
camp. And I have one family who it's too expensive. They're
Okay.
not,
They're gonna do day camp.
not necessarily. I would like to give them that option. I want to try to encourage them to go to camp.
Okay.
But we got dad who works and
Yeah.
a stay-at-home mom, and she has she'll have a wolf and a weeblo.
Okay.
So now you have two kids, one available adult.
Okay.
Is that a workable situation?
There are a couple ways you can make that happen. One is to connect with another group, say my pack,
Right.
and you say, hey, Mike, you've got at least 5 scouts going to Ireland 1 week. Can I add a couple more and an adult? And I'm gonna say, you betcha.
Well, the way that Ireland did it last year, and I thought it worked pretty good, there were some things that still needed to iron out.
Okay.
Weeblos were their own group.
Yep.
Everybody else was their own group. Everybody registered, everybody signed up. They then went through and matched everybody up so that they had pretty much equal numbers of big groups. They were going to try to email us in advance so that we could connect up with the other pack that we were going to be joined with, because
Right.
they did the assignment and they did the
Yeah.
joining. That's the part that fell through.
Okay.
By day 2, it was working great for us because the pack that we were with, you know, one lady said, well, no, I'm signed up to be here tomorrow and I can be here, but I have physical therapy for 2 hours. We had enough people that
Right.
when things came up between the 2 packs, we were able to work between the 2 packs. We've never seen each other since, probably will never see each other again until we're at camp again. But the way that they did it in Ireland really did work, and, you know, basically what we told everybody is if you're gonna have a weeblo, you know, we need 1 leader for the weeblos, we need 1 leader for every 4 of the other kids, because there wasn't as many weeblos that went.
Right.
'Cause I don't know if Ireland's gonna offer weeblos this year or not.
I think it's gonna be the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They're offering for every single age group.
And it worked out great, because the camp itself took out the middleman and said, this
Okay.
is the way it is.
My other
So
take
maybe
on
I
that.
can contact the camp then. I'm gonna talk to so what we did was we put in $10 for every single scout in the pack to get in on
Just a
numbers.
slot, yeah.
And then are working through trying to convince people to go. And then I'd like to fall
There's a
back.
scholarship too, which you know,
It's,
just doesn't cover it now.
there is, it's not even about, I think it's about not a financial per se as I don't see the value in it per se.
Oh.
And so I'm trying to figure out to get they joined as wolves and they didn't go last year with us for when we went as bears to the inexpensive camp, even though I really asked them. She really should go. And this year it's like, well, now it's way too expensive for what you're doing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's not, it's great. So I'm trying to figure out a way to get them to commit, even if they may not even want to go for the full week of day camp, but if I can just get them in there.
The other thought,
You
with
get 'em
your
going.
group, you have a group of lions. They
I
can
do.
go to day camp.
Right.
Find a week that works for everybody and just sign everybody up.
I'll try to do that again.
Yeah.
So
That's
I'll,
kind of what we're doing too.
Yeah.
Is we've got a group of lions that are gonna go to Ireland, and it's the first group from Ireland that we're gonna send for 4 years. And we can just say, oh, you can't make it to Butte Creek, go to Ireland, right?
right. So
It's
we
a
have
great
only
default.
3 lions. We have
But
2
it's
of
still a
them.
group.
Right, but we have 2 because I'm taking one of them with me across the country.
Oh, wow.
It's my sabbatical. I finally hit it,
Nice.
and we're driving the whole freaking.
Cool.
Anyway, so both my kids can't go. So
Right.
like now I also have the problem about regular summer camp about finding one of my parents to step up and
Right,
be
to go anywhere.
So what we've done with regular summer camp last year, and we've decided that this is the way it is, because it turned out to be such a great experience for all the dads. Because we didn't have any moms signed up, so if moms want to or not. We basically tell everybody that, look, it's such a great experience to go to Butte Creek, for instance. We're not really pushing it for the week-long one, for the 3-day Butte Creek, that we want a dad to sign up with the kids.
We did that.
We really want them to. And if
We
they
did
get-
one parent. We did.
Yeah, one parent, and if the
One-on-one.
parent can't make it, we're saying, hey, you need to talk to someone else in the pack to cover for your kid.
Wow.
And then the other thing that we've done on the chocolate cells is a certain percentage of the chocolate cells go to paper camp,
Yeah.
so that we can
Definitely.
take the cost out.
That's a great way to do that. The things to expect from summer camp, if you haven't been there, is you'll show up in the morning. This is default 5-day, Monday through Friday. You show up in the morning, check in a little early on Monday. They have sort of an opening thing, find your den. a rotation of stations in the morning and then in the afternoon with some lunch and special things in the middle. That's essentially the whole deal, is a rotation of stations throughout the entire week. You get to do all these different things. And Friday's a little bit special. They used to have a big shindig, but I think it ended up being that nobody showed up.
Yeah.
And so they kind of canceled it, and I don't know if anybody even missed it. But they end up with Friday shenanigans and some closing, and off you go, and it's a great experience.
The one thing I would
So-
caution you on Ireland is, it's happened to us a couple of times. If the weather is bad, plan for it to be really bad there, because it's gonna be muddy.
Yeah.
And if there is a storm coming in, keep everything with you, because if they so much hear as a clap of thunder, they will evacuate you.
Yes. They do that, they do that at Weeblos Woods.
So
thing like
that's
that.
the
There
coastal
was-
one, isn't it?
yeah.
No, that's the one over in Hillsborough.
And that's actually, if you take,
Oh,
if you take
sorry.
weather hazards, they'll tell you that.
Well, that's what happened at, what is that, when we went over this spring?
Oh, yeah, okay.
What was that one? I can't
Dad and
remember.
lad kind of thing?
Where we went over to meet troops. We went over on a Friday, I can't remember what that
Is that
was.
Weeblo Woods?
It was Weeblos Woods in October?
Yeah, the
September.
one I talked about,
Yeah, and
September
it was
is-
Saturday evening.
Yeah, we
It
were at the
just-
last station and then she
there was
boom
one
and we
massive-
were all in the
yeah.
lodge for the next 4 or 5.
It took 40
6
minutes
hours.
to get everybody to the launch, it was nuts.
That was our last station, so we were right
I
in that
know,
chuck.
and we had scouts at the BB gun range who were very disappointed. So that's the Ireland schedule. Ireland is kind of the obvious answer because it's pretty close to us, but there are others. Others are very similar. Ireland has 4 sessions. July 10th starts, and then through the very beginning of August. And if you want to see more about Camp Ireland and their offerings, that's down there. Pro tip, the early ones tend to fill up quicker. You'll have this linear progression of full down to almost empty at about this time of year. So if you want to hit the early ones, get on there quick. If you want to hit the July to August session, you might have a little time to find, all the scouts that you want to get there. This is a map of Camp Ireland. This year it is $120 per scout, I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
And there's a Google Map directions thing here. If you need to find it, it's right across from Glencoe High School. It's easy to find.
Hard to park.
Hard to park. You can park in the neighborhoods, but it's kind of a pain. And you hate to, take up somebody else's.
Well, you usually have that big pasture you can park in.
Yeah.
That is, I believe, the school next door, actually.
And they have an agreement with them.
Yes, well,
Not always, though.
Yeah, but.
it's
yeah,
sort of a rolling understanding because I have to talk to them about Cub Scout Street out.
Good
Okay. Pre-camp leader meetings happen, there are 2 of them. They're usually roughly 3 weeks prior to the start date of camp, typically on Wednesday evenings. If you've never been to Ireland, it's a really good idea to go. Try to send somebody from your group. You can ask all the questions about, my kid has ADHD, how can you help? How can I help make this experience good? Where are the restrooms? You can get your camp t-shirts if you pre-order them, all that kind of good stuff. Special needs is really important. The staff want to help accommodate your scout to have an amazing experience, and that's where it all begins. We believe that this year's are going to be either the 7th, 14th, or 21st. I'm not sure what. That information will be ironed out in about a month. So keep an eye on the website, this one right here, and you'll probably see those dates pop up. So it's Wednesday, a couple weeks before camp starts. And then the leader guides, they're going to try to, again, have them be done kind of like first draft, in my experience, but they'll be pretty close to done and available for everyone on March 1st. So keep an eye on that link, that leader guides link. They list them all out. When they see 2017, or whatever camp you're going to, download that. That'll have all kinds of good information for you.
Even tells you the things you'll be earning towards, or the kids who go to
Yes.
camp earning towards your next year's rank.
One of the things I wanted to show you guys, see if this works, is, I can make this bigger. Yeah. Just to give you guys an idea of all the different day camps geographically happening throughout the council, there are a lot. The Twilight one is at Hood River. Camp Lewis has a bunch. Willamette down in Salem has a bunch. So again, if your scout is somewhere else geographically, there's really no excuse to not have them there. Okay. Any questions about day camp? Hopefully that was clear. I'm going to transition to resident camp. It's really a short version of Boy Scout camp. Some people call it sleepover camp. I think that's an old terminology. It's either 3 days or 5 days based on age and the experience, the location they're going to. It's appropriate for the more experienced, slightly older scouts. We've had Scouts that have earned Tiger Cub go to Butte Creek. They have survived. They have survived. And we've had, scouts that are Webelos and just about to turn 11 go to, Camp Clark and have an amazing experience. So everything between, there are age tailorings here. You'll catch on to this in a second if you're not familiar. We have 2, Butte Creek and Camp Clark. We've talked about that a little bit. So I'm going to jump in and tell you a little bit about Butte Creek. It's outside of Scotts Mills. My joke is you drive to the crossroads of no and where and you keep going for 20 minutes. It's 3 days, 2 nights. It runs from early July through mid-August. There are 12 sessions this year. They've really expanded primarily because Cub World is no longer running. They're always Sunday through Tuesday and Thursday through Saturday. The staff gets Wednesday and Saturday night, Sunday morning off to do laundry.
Take everything you need to, like s'mores, things
Yes.
like that, because the store is a long ways away.
Yeah.
Well, I heard a rumor that they were gonna, because they've had to expand it, that hill's not holding up under the strain,
Oh, really?
and
Because they
that
keep
they were
building
going to
more.
move everything off the hill.
They're,
really?
they're building more mini decks by the day,
Yeah.
is what I heard. What
They're,
Yeah,
what I've
they're-
seen.
they're building them, we were at the very, very top of
Yeah,
the hill.
yeah.
So it was like,
Yeah.
a half-mile walk.
I did
I-
171 flights in 3 days on my phone.
You were at the top.
My wife thought, I think so, a complainer, because I am, but she's like,
Okay.
some of the other parents mentioned how bad that hill was. And I wasn't giving you credit, but I give them credit.
But it's a great camp.
It is, it is.
My son's disappointed he's not going back this year because he's going to Clark.
Okay.
Oh,
Because Webelos can't
Clark's
go.
good too.
It's
That's the
yeah,
one that-
Clark's
Yeah, but
great.
he just had such a great time. He wants to go out there and be a camp guy.
Butte Creek's got good horses.
Butte Creek is for those essentially just started the 2nd grade or starting 4th grade, essentially a wolf through Webelos. It's always the Old West, Wild West cowboy adventure. Sorry, I can talk. Always got the horseback riding, the beat guns, the painting for gold, the archery, the cowboy campfires, the
Gaga ball.
the Gaga Ball was new last year.
Really, it was
Yes.
really good.
I'm supposed to
Yeah,
be building one of
it
those
was.
for our elementary school.
I can get you in touch with somebody who built a portable version.
Don't let people jump over the ball.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. But they had a little farm thing where they had chickens and all kinds of good stuff. It was fun. Scouts and adults sleep in either the canvas tents, which they're sort of getting rid of very slowly but surely, or the mini decks. The mini decks are nice. You'll see the canvas tents if you're not familiar from 1951. They are still
They're not
there.
bad.
They're still there. They're a bit drafty. The mini decks are great. They got a nice canvas cover. Unless the wind is really whipping, you can get cozy in there. This is the front main street. You'll see there's over here at the end is the dining hall. There's an office over here. There's a trading post. It's a lot. It's really neat. It's really authentic looking. It's fun. This is the barn stable, and this is the head wrangler, Scotty DiPaolo.
He's awesome.
If you didn't see him at University of Scouting, come to Butte Creek. He's a kick.
If you haven't been there before, though, and they're still up on the hill, it really is a hill. You're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be walking up, what, about 400 feet?
I've got a
Take a
map of
backpack,
that.
take all your
Just
stuff.
So take a wagon.
They let you request which one you want.
I'll
Don't
show you.
always
Oh, yeah,
get
they
it.
go-
We
I'll show
did,
you on
we
the-
did request, we
And
didn't
you
get it,
did.
and we had a parent who
Yeah.
actually then drove home each night because he couldn't make it
Oh,
up. the hill.
geez. Yeah, if you got knee problems, that's not the
Yeah,
right camp.
and the other one tip is when you go out to do the early morning with the horses and the feeding of the horses, make sure you ask permission to enter areas. If you don't, like the parents missed that. The kids were told,
Ah.
the parents were all doing the medical forms.
Right.
And so we sat outside for
And
22
the
minutes.
boys weren't
And
listening?
oh, wow. Yeah, go
What?
figure, right?
So
So-
the boys listen fine, it was the parents.
That's right. A few views from camp, you'll see that all the menu points have beans on them. It's good stuff. The schedule's a little different than something like day camp. You'll show up at 12:30, you'll get checked in, you'll go to your campsite.
Eat lunch before you go. There's no lunch.
Definitely eat lunch. Pro tip, there is a park at Scotts Mills that's a cute little park, not too far. It's kind of in the middle of town. You can find it if you Google Scotts Mills City Park. Really cute little place to have a sack lunch.
And there's a Burgerville on the exit to I-5 when you start to kick off to go out to
Yeah.
no one where.
Exactly. As mentioned, there was the adult leader meeting where we were hearing about the horse things. The Hootenanny is basically just a group of fun events at the main street for the kids games to play and things like that. They do a flag, they do supper, chapel, campfire, head back to your homestead and off you go. What you'll notice here is the morning is you have an optional feeding for either the barn or the horses. I would recommend trying each. I did last year. You get up early.
None
when
of
it's
our
fun.
kids would get up.
Yeah, I had a couple of those too.
My son was up and at 'em at
So
6 o'clock.
Oh man, if you haven't been there, what they do, you'll see a station number 1 thing. They have 9 stations and they collected them into triplets. Because you have, and I'll show you on the map here in just a second, you have Frontier Field is huge, and then way across the pond, there's the barn and the pond and nature. So they have 3 and 3 in the field, and then 3 across the pond. And so you do a rotation of 3 for each station. And it works really well, actually. We found it was fantastic. So you'll do a rotation, you'll do lunch, or dinner, excuse me. Pardon me, dinner. You'll do a rotation, there's open range time, supper, street show, and then the third day is mostly open range with that last station. And then the day is a full day. You'll be there all the way, unless you leave early, until 5:36, getting your stuff out and getting on your way. So don't plan a dentist appointment for 4:30 thinking you're going to be home. 12 sessions. There's a girls' camp at the front, and there's no all-pack. Okay, so one of the things is there's no all-pack camp denoted because they're all considered all-pack camp. You can basically send everybody to Butte Creek. It's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with that. So they didn't denote an all-pack camp for Butte Creek this year as your link. And to speak to your point, there's your hill going up. I would recommend Flying J. We were in Two of Hearts, was okay, about a third of the way up the hill.
We were in the brand new one that they just bulldozed that spring.
Okay,
They
right.
had to come up and put plastic over the centers because we didn't have metal yet.
Was that on the right side of the road as you go up? Yeah, I saw them building those. They're nice and new, right? And you got
Oh.
sawdust in your sleeping bag?
We swept them out. But, I mean, they were, I mean, honestly, I wish that I could have done this with my older son.
Yeah,
And every single one of the dads, we only had one dad that didn't go up with his kids.
yeah.
But all of us agreed that it was probably one of the best experiences that we ever did with our kids.
Okay.
And it's one of those things that I mean, our pack's even trying to discount and pay out us some pack money so that dads and moms can go up and
Yeah.
spend the night because it's just too much of a great experience with your kids.
It really is, absolutely.
By the way, there's no cell phone reception.
Yes.
at all.
No,
It's
it's
not-
great.
not
Find
even-
your top
yes.
top.
Put it in airplane mode to
Yep.
save your battery for taking
And just use it as a camera.
That's, I put an airplane mode and track my
Yep.
steps.
$200 per scout, 70 per adult. You do get a free adult for every 6 scouts, maximum of 3 free adults. So what we did in our pack was we had, I think, 7 or 8 go, and we split the free, so we just reduced it
That's
for
what we did
everybody.
too.
It's a little more fair. It is about a 70-minute drive. There is a back road where you don't have to take much of I-5, by the way. It was kind of a nice drive. Again, Google Maps will get you there. There's a highway map.
You gotta be careful because Google Maps are messed up. There's a couple things in there that you can get off on the wrong
Oh, yeah?
place. Yeah.
Okay.
I just followed the UPS driver.
That's one way to go. All right, that's Butte Creek. This is Camp Clark. Camp Clark is just south of Cape Lookout State Park, south of Tillamook if you've never been there. You turn right to go to Camp Clark. You turn left on the gravel road that's paved with boulders to go to Meriwether. And yes, it is paved with boulders. It was made in 1930 or 20 something by the Army Corps of Engineers, and they have rocks on that road that are bigger than my truck. Nuts. 5-day, 4-night, runs from early June through late August, 7 sessions. 4th or 5th grade. If you're going to send a Tiger Cub to here, they're probably going to send them home because it's way too big of a camp, too much going on, and you'll see with the schedule. There's a lot here. It's more a high adventure almost. The goal is to get those scouts ready for Boy Scouts. It's really the on-ramp, and you'll see that. It's designed to help those first and second year people start with those basic Boy Scout skills to really start learning those. Again, the canvas tents, the mini DACs, the picture is essentially the same. They are knots, they learn how to build a fire, the BB guns, the beach stuff. Proof that our district executive was there. That's Gaga Ball Pit over here.
I like how all
That's
the,
a lot.
Yeah,
it's
these
all
are
nice
big-
weather pictures,
Big
yeah.
permanent Gaga Ball Pit,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I can show you where it is in the map. This is if you're facing the dining hall and you turn around and you take a picture, that's the view. It's not
They're using the
terrible.
older building, right? Or is they?
The dining hall's right down on the cliff.
Okay, yeah, so
Yeah.
it's the old, it's not the new one that's they're not splitting between the
It's
two campuses.
no,
Okay, so it's the older
it's-
one.
Okay. I don't know how old it is, but it seems like a nice building.
My wife's grandmother was the cook there for the road crew that was building the road.
That's a different building then. Because
Well,
this is way newer than
yeah.
Mike's
Also,
grandmother.
that must be
Oh, it might have been remodeled,
last-
so, yeah.
The last day, there's a hike to Merriweather, so that's always good. Get to go see the waterfront, go see Merriweather. Scouts usually enjoy that. It is about 1.25 miles, I think. This is the schedule. Do you have a question yet?
I did have a
Go
question.
ahead.
So when you come down that road,
Yeah.
Clark's to the right, Meriwether's to the left.
There's a
So when
sign.
when we went to the council did a camp, that was at Meriwether, right? Where you
Yep.
just have the bumps, the super big tall bumps?
Yes, they have the bigger ones, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Adirondacks that they call those.
So
it's Sunday check-in, right after lunch.
Yeah.
And they have a check-in procedure with flag and a tour and all that stuff. And notice it's similar, you have area rotations. Wednesday looks cool, you get to sleep in and cook breakfast in your campsite. And there's a Gaga ball tournament, there's all kinds of neat stuff that happen. It's almost like an outbound type experience they have built into, so it's a really neat adventure for your
So
older.
they deliver you a bunch of raw material for your.
I'm thinking it's kind of like Baldwin, if you've ever been there, where they take, okay. Yeah, it's probably whatever it is, it's probably not instant oatmeal, I'm guessing. It's probably eggs and a loaf of bread and you make, French toast or something like that. And then you're there, they kick you out a little bit earlier than Butte Creek, you're probably gonna be home by 3 or 4 p.m. They have a little potlatch, a little lunch, and you're on your way. One thing I wanted to mention really quick, for those of you, if anybody hasn't been there to Butte Creek, your time as a parent to pack up is right here, open range time on the 3rd day. I don't see that easy time to go back to camp and pack up, except for maybe you can
Back
skip.
campsite,
Yeah.
12:30.
12.
You seriously, it says
Pack-
12:30
pack
and
campsite
1 o'clock
lunch.
is out the door.
Yeah, it's a little quicker, so I
Scrape and go.
be on your toes. And I have to check with some of my guys that have been there. But has anybody been to Clark yet? Yeah, was it kind of quick on the way out the door?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, well, they might change it, cause they have like a whole like
I think.
luncheon thing at the end where like,
It says you got 1 p.m. one popcorn.
Yeah, so it looks like kind of a potlatch, kind of
Yeah.
an open cracker barrel thing.
yeah.
But I've heard good things. Again, it's much more like Boy Scout camp. It's only 1 day short of a full week Boy Scout camp, and it's a great experience. I assume you had a good experience. We should
Yeah.
have did, so definitely worth going. The sessions this time, there are a lot. Starts with bargain week. I don't know what the bargain price is, but they're calling it bargain week. You have
The
to probably get on.
reason that they call that one bargain week and they give a discount also, I
4th of
think
July.
at Butte, is part of it's that, and the other thing is the first 10 days of these camps,
Yeah.
they bring in almost double the staff because they're weeding out the staff. So they bring them in, they give them like a few day trial period.
See if it
And
works
the ones
out.
that want to stay and work out, they keep,
try it, yeah.
Okay.
and that's for the kitchen staff.
Okay, interesting.
So I highly recommend, especially with Butte Creek, because we did this last year, don't sign up for the first week.
So the crappy food is even crappier than.
There was none. We almost did a pizza run because there was not enough food.
Wow.
Were you there in the spaghetti when they had to go make more?
Yeah,
You were there the first
yeah,
one,
I was
right
there.
after
Yeah.
July 4th.
Yeah, I was standing in the kitchen
Yeah.
The
talking
week
about
that I was
awesome.
there, the
Yeah.
water reservoir ran dry. So, things happen.
I only made it
Um,
to the half, so.
They identified
They had
the,
a pipe break, right?
I think it just ran dry. Like, there was that much
Oh,
water.
no, that was at where we went,
Okay.
at Butte Creek, the pipe broke the week
Oh, really?
before, we had no water
Ooh.
in the camp except for down at the thing,
The-
so you needed water, you need to go all the way
down
down,
to
all the way
the
down that
cafeteria.
stupid.
Oh,
road.
yeah, that's right, we had water at every site, that's right, I remember
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And we
That's
didn't have
another
water.
reason why I
Yeah,
say
you
you
did,
have to
you
limit
did,
it off.
yeah, that'd be bummer, that'd be
Interesting.
bummer.
Yeah.
That's
So-
a hard hill to pack water.
So the last week, the 13th grade is identified as an all-pack and girls camp, so they're changing their structure and they're allowing everyone to bring in their tiger cubs and whatever, and they're gonna change it up a bit. I've heard good things about all-pack camp at Clark. Having said that, 5 days for a tiger cub is a long time, so see if that works. If you have a lumpy pack where you have, younger siblings that are tigers, kind of like what Neil's talking about, and some olders, that might work well for you. It might not. It wouldn't work for my pack. There's your link.
Lions, we have Wiggles.
Camp Clark, exactly. And this is the worst map ever, and they haven't updated it yet. So your main drag comes down here, and you've got the canvas tent sites on the south side, and the Adirondacks, the mini decks are on the north. The cafeteria is there, kind of right in that bend, going up towards the new campfires right up here. And they've got some new sites that aren't even on the map yet. There's really nothing to say here in terms of hill, which site is better or not, but mini DACs,
Yeah.
mini DACs, canvas tents.
You just need to blow it back.
This image is old, but they always have for resident camps a leader award. I think the new ones are rectangular.
Yeah,
Um,
this goes real well with my original triangle.
Well, last year at Butte Creek, they had some of them left over. I have no idea if Clark's gonna have any left this year.
Well, I'm not going.
You're not going to Clark?
Drive it.
I'll save you one if I get one. I may not go to Clark either. This is great. It's a great way to stay active, stay engaged with your scouts, participate. Pro tips, go to camp, stay the full session if you can. Assist in the activities, make sure you're there. If you go and take a nap for half a day, you're gonna miss out on stuff. With Cub World especially, you really had to meet and cajole the staff members. I found that to be less true at Butte Creek last year. It was a little bit easier to earn. And definitely participate in all the programs, go and do the things like feeding the horses and feeding the animals at the barn and stuff like that. But it's fun to be involved and definitely show that for your scouts. And I found that our scouts really like to see our adults earn something cool. So that's always good.
They were actually starting to help. That
Yeah.
was kind of cool.
Yeah. And yeah, we had a
Cub
few,
World had
we had a few that were,
coolest.
Cub World was tough.
Yeah, Cub World was
They really
tough, yeah.
rang you through the ringer.
They wouldn't tell you who they were. You had to ask and try to
Right,
figure
yeah.
out who's the spy thing here we want.
And the year before was the same thing with, well, are you the Jedi Master or not? I don't know. I'm not telling you. Oh, come on.
The Iron guys, you have to find.
The packing list, sleeping bag, pillow, a pad. The bunks are, some of the mini decks have little bunk shelves. Some of them don't. Either way, they're on plywood. You're on plywood, the scouts are on plywood. It's plywood, folks. It's not cushy. Bring a pad, bring a pillow, bring a sleeping bag, because it does get cold. Even if it is 95 degrees, it gets cold out there in the middle of the night. Toiletries, clothing, flashlight, first aid kit, water bottle, and uniform. Pro tip, leave the neckerchief, the slide, and the hat at home. They all get lost because they're all the same. Just leave them at home, bring the blue shirt with nothing that'll fall off. Even like the
You have the hat,
colors.
but the hat labeled with your name and pack number.
You could. I saw more, I think it was bear hats last year at Cub World. It was nuts,
We
man.
had one kid that every single night at Butte Creek, he had to go up to the lost and found.
It
Finally
happens.
took it away from him.
There's one kid every year, right? Again, with medical forms, Butte Creek's parts A and B. If you're going to Clark, you're staying the whole session. You need A, B, and C, which requires a doctor visit. So your scouts definitely need that. If you are a parent and you're trading off half and half with somebody else, you can probably get away with A and B if you're only there for a couple days.
If you're an
But-
adult and you're 40, though, you have to have
Really?
that. 40.
I didn't know that.
You get dropped
40.
dead at
But
40.
only 40?
Yeah.
So 42 a month, 43 a month,
Yeah.
okay?
About
I'm turning 40 in June. Oh boy.
that much.
Did you have a
For scout uniform, what we did, I got this tip before we went to Cub World, and I used it last year too. Get a 5-gallon pail, and you put all the uniform shirts in it. And you have your pack and everything on it, and you carry that around. That's actually a nice seat to use.
Or you put them in your
I put
backpack.
it back. But the pail is waterproof.
Yeah, that's true.
And,
Put a
and
lid
you
on
can
it,
sit
right?
on it.
Yeah, okay.
But you go down the flag, everyone gets a uniform on,
Pull
they
the tail
they
out.
do their thing, and then you
I'm
rip it
liking
all
this
off of them,
idea.
you chuck it back in the bucket, and you don't have food all
And
over it, everything.
You write on the bucket, pack
You know, they make those
592,
buckets for
10.
fishing that have the pad already on the top of them. I like
Baseball.
that.
That's like a
Baseball.
tailgate.
Yeah.
But we got this from a parent who'd been many years, and they told us that at the parent meeting that I
Okay.
went to, and I was like,
That's a
oh my
great
gosh,
idea. I like that.
And just make sure every kid has their shirt labeled
Yes.
very carefully. 'cause-
Oh, yeah, once in
Yes.
there.
We had more than one scout go home with the wrong uniform. This doesn't fit. You ended up with Billy's uniform.
Right, so, but because we did it as dens, and so
That's
then
a
we
good
just
idea.
threw
And
it
they're
all
all
in the
the
bucket. Now,
And who
in
cares
Clark
about
was
baseball?
bad, because then you had to carry the bucket all day, because the,
None of it has a seat on it. I'm liking this idea. I'm going to
That's
Clark.
right. Also, make sure you bring your leader guide because there are tidbits in there that might be very handy while you're at camp. If you have, especially if you haven't done it before. Packing list, you'll have a copy of this in your leader guide. I just want to give you an idea of what it looks like, along with a bunch of stuff I cropped off of stuff not to bring, which I believe still includes a Walkman. Who has a Walkman? Sunscreen's important. You know, a poncho is a good idea. All kinds of good stuff.
Hey, when we fill out Form A, B, and C,
Yes.
Is there a time limit on how close, because C
Okay.
is where you actually have to have
See,
your
you
doctor.
go to the doctor. They're both, the expiration is the same. The day that you sign it, it's valid, and it is good for 1 year,
Okay, all right,
plus to
Right.
the end of that month.
okay, all right.
So if you
Because
happen to
that's
sign it
important
on,
because I'm gonna go get a
Sign it
physical.
July.
Yes.
quick.
so
I need to take that
if you
C
get
in
it
there.
signed on July 1st,
So,
2016, it's good until July 31st, 2017.
Okay, cool.
Plan your camps.
Yes.
Yeah, I just need to
I
take
did
it.
that
in.
for
I just gotta-
Wood
I-
Badge.
Thank you for reminding me, 'cause I
Yes.
gotta go print it out.
What
Absolutely.
we've been doing in ours is in January, I start reminding everybody.
Yeah.
In
Yep.
February,
Yep,
I hand out the forms.
because it is
And
miserable.
then in March, I start calling people out by name,
Yep.
because by the end of March, I want every single form back.
The worst thing is to chase down medical forms and insurance stuff on the day of camp. It's
Oh my
horrible.
gosh, yeah, it's
We've had that
horrible.
happen.
Yeah.
Every year, somebody has to run home and make a quick photocopy of their dang insurance form. Yeah.
And then the other tip that I got that my wife did is not only did she get all the forms from everybody, put them into a 3-ring binder for everybody,
Yes.
she scanned everything into a PDF and put it on my cell phone.
Okay, good.
And we actually, at Butte Creek, they lost one of our people's forms and
It's
wanted them to
right
fill back
here.
out, and he couldn't remember the stuff, and I'm like, here
There
it
you
is.
go.
Wow.
Pre-camp leader meetings, there will be 2. I'm told that
That's
these
kinda
are the
random, but
dates.
Yeah.
They do a Friday evening, June 2nd, Saturday afternoon, June 3rd. I believe it's gonna be at the
That's
half.
also about an hour from here.
It is, yes, it's a bit of a drive, so carpool. Again, it's important to go if you haven't gone. This year, I'm gonna go with, maybe I don't have to go, especially if I'm only going to Butte Creek, because I get it. But if you, or we'll talk about the early bird specials here in a second, if you have pre-ordered clothing, they will be available there, the t-shirts. Definitely try to send somebody, there's a CPC site for when those events are, and there are a lot of good answers. A lot of what we heard last year was, okay, you've got at Butte Creek, Tigers all the way through Webelos, are my scouts gonna be able to ride a horse? And they got a lot of those questions, and the end result is essentially yes. They got all the scouts on a horse, which was great. But you'll get a lot of these different questions, and some things you maybe didn't even think of. And again, with leader meetings, great time to submit those forms for food allergies, special needs, stuff like that. You can meet the camp director and talk to them about what you need. Resident camps are being emphasized. It is the on-ramp to Boy Scouts. Whatever camp you can get your scout to is fine. Resident camps are great experiences. We have 2 excellent camps, age-appropriate, fun activities. It is sort of a progression. It's designed so that you start with Ireland to a certain extent, go to Butte Creek, and then end with Camp Clark as you go through your Cub Scouting career. Again,
Aren't they doing a 4-tiered patch now? Two tiers of it for Butte and 2 tiers at Clark for Cubs. They were talking about that last year at the
for
leaders.
adults or youth.
No, for Butte.
I don't know.
It seemed they were talking
What
about.
was the shape of last year's Butte Creek?
Big.
Yeah, it was
It's
a
a
it was a
100-year,
dangler, right?
Well, there was a 100-year one, and then they were
Yeah.
saying that I think next year, starting this year or something,
I didn't
that they
know.
were going to do
A quadrant
a
thing?
quadrant thing. So
Huh.
you get, you know,
Okay.
year 1 and year 2 at Butte, and year
And year
3
two.
and 4 at Clark.
Okay. Well, if they do, great. And again, with that Ireland being sort of that on-ramp to scouting,
Mhm.
it sort of works as a progression. All-pack camp is kind of a new thing. It's more like Boy Scout camp where you bring the entire pack, of course. All ages are acceptable to one camp, and there are sessions. Butte Creek, each and every session is essentially all-pack. You can bring whatever you want. Camp Clark has that one at the end. All scouts, depending on the size of your pack and the breakdown, it might work for you. And that's really all I have for all-pack. I know we had a couple people that went and did this last year. We had a couple that took just everybody. And if it works, great. Make sure that it works out with the camp director, that they're okay with that. I would hesitate again to bring a brand new Tiger Cub to Butte Creek. That hill's going to be a beast. But if he's a mountain goat, great, go for it. The great thing about Camp Clark is it's also girls' week. So we had one scouter come last year. I see all these girls week, sisters. Payment schedule: deposit of $10 reserves your reservation, and that is something you can do today. $10 today gets your spot. Another pro tip: it's easier to expand your reservation once you've made it than it is to say, "Oops, I forgot to reserve my spot for Ireland. Can I please get in?"
Other way around. It's easy to
It's
decrease.
well, as opposed to coming in and say, "I did not make a reservation. Can I please get in?"
No.
If it's full, they will sometimes accommodate a slightly larger group if you want to add 2 or 3 scouts. As opposed to if it's full and you didn't make a reservation, they're not gonna have you, you're gonna get a different weight. So I would say
Get your foot in the door.
exactly, I'd say make a reservation, do your best guess at who you're gonna have there, and you can adjust as you go. The commitment payment is due on March 1st, it's non-refundable. It holds your reservation. If you don't make that payment per scout, then you risk losing the reservation. They'll basically open up those slots to other units. If you have a scout that cancels, you can transfer that reservation to a different scout.
Or distribute those $70 over every scout.
You can do that?
We've done that.
You've done
We
that?
had to do that in the past.
Okay,
Where we've
that's good to
done the
know.
$70 on everybody that
Good.
they, yeah.
May 1st is your early bird, and if you do that, you qualify for free camp shirts for everybody. We've done that each year, and it's great because when your
Camp
scouts are
shirts are
stinky
12
on that
bucks.
third day, you can stuff them in a brand new t-shirt. Here you go! Go have that third day fun. And again, your your camp shirts can either be available at the leader meeting or at the first day of camp. Either way, whichever way you want to do it. If you pick them up at the leader meeting, you can put every scout's name in the t-shirt. So that helps. We do Sharpies. Whatever works for you. June 1st, all payments due, first, final, full, the whole bit. That's it. Questions? Makes sense, right? Good. There are camperships available. We just had the 2017 Opportunity Fund application be published yesterday or the day before. It just came out. There's a link to it right there. If there's anybody who thinks they might qualify or if they even want to give it a shot, there's no harm in trying. It's really all based on the composition of your family and earnings. So it really comes down to tax kind of questions, earnings and stuff like that. It needs to be turned in as soon as possible. So as soon as you can get it in, better. They did not run out. It's basically an endowment, is my understanding, and they didn't run out last year. So better to try than not have anything go out. They want these scouts to go to camp. This adventure builds memories, guys. This is what scouting is all about, to impede this excitement, the thrill of scouting to our boys. And I will mention that we're running a little late, I'm sorry, but it is true that the scouts who attend summer camp come back invigorated, excited, and enthusiastic for the scouting program. They jump back into den meetings at the beginning of our program year and are much more likely to continue the program. I saw 2 scouts last year who didn't make it to summer camp, and they eventually did not return to scouting. And I find that to be very sad. So I just want to let everybody know that I want to see as many Cub Scouts as I can, as possible, come to camp. Our council has a goal of 3/4 of our registered Cub Scouts attending camp. I think we had 76 last year, so we're really doing pretty well. But there's always room for improvement. If you have questions, you can call Jennifer Mooney. She is top dog in terms of camp and summer camp Cub Scout type stuff. She's my resource for a lot of these things. Lisa DeCoster, you can ask, our district executive. She'll have some questions. If she doesn't know the answer, she can go find the right person and look it up. And also, these are the links that you saw earlier to all the different camps and all the different locations. All those links are live. Anybody have any questions? 'Cause I'm about ready to wrap it up and get you guys home.
You gotta send us all.
Absolutely, yes. You'll get an
send us
email
all
from me
Okay.
with a link to all this stuff, all the locations. You can download that, share it with your friends, your family. A few final things. This is what we covered, all kinds of good stuff. Wood Badge, if you haven't been, you should really go. There are 2 sessions this summer. It's awesome. If you don't know what Wood Badge is, there's a slide. Wood Badge is great. It's fantastic. We are on social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We have a website, Connect. Make sure you stay informed. Thank you for being here. Have a great evening. Go to summer camp. We'll see you there.
Do we need to do anything with these?
No, just leave it.
Hi everybody, this is Mike with a quick postscript. At the top left of your screen, you can click and watch the first part of this presentation. At the top right, you can click and watch our Putting the Outing in Scouting presentation from University of Scouting 2016. On the bottom left, there's a link to our mini breakout on the National Summertime Award. And finally, if you're not yet subscribed to our channel, click on the bottom right and you will be subscribed and receive updates. It's all good stuff. Thanks for watching.